The one Tigris mesh fabric mask is going to be your best option for milsim if you wanted to go with Face Pro. So before you go off and you make a purchase of the expensive dye i4s, because everyone else is rocking them, for CQB and indoor fields, I'd say these are a good mask. They're very narrow on the face, so if you have a smaller profile face, this is a good option. However, even though it is narrow, the toughness of the mask will do a good job protecting you. However, you won't get very good cheek weld. If you're planning on holding the firearm the way you actually would, then you would get a proper cheek weld. And the dye i4 mask I found was hard to get a good cheek weld and line of sight, because the goggles, even though it's a small lowest profile masks with full coverage, it prevent you from getting a normal cheek weld and line of sight through your optics and your rifle. We tried another option, which was the Sly by Profit. The material they used is a lot more forgiving and allows you to get a proper cheek weld on the buttstock a lot faster. I think the Sly's double strap on the back holds it a lot more securely and more comfortably. The foam used on the Sly Profit around the goggles is much more comfortable and softer than the dye i4s. The dye i4's foam is your standard foam around the goggles. It probably does allow for better ventilation, but it's a lot more, not a lot more, but a little bit lighter than the Sly, but I don't think it's anything noticeable. Depending on your gameplay and your face profile is what you would decide. Both full face masks are pretty expensive. This one's over $100 or close to it, and I'd say this is not too far behind it. The best option that I run with every day now is going to be your cheapest version. It's like I'd say between $7 to $15 is your one Tigris mesh mask. Mesh fabric combination mask. This is the 4-inch in multicam, and this is the 6-inch in ATAX. You can see there is quite a bit of difference in size. I thought maybe this one would be just a lower profile, but at the end of the day, I went ahead and stuck with the 6. It gives you a little bit more chin coverage. It just fits my face better. This does work fine, especially if you have a smaller face, so I went ahead and gave this one to my son. But if you have a longer face and you wanted a little bit more chin coverage, this is perfect. It's very comfortable. We all start with your solid steel mesh mask, and trying to get it to form to your face is a challenge. Even those that spend a lot of time and finally get it, you know, the straps on it wear down, as you could see here. The elastic's wearing down. This one's a single strap. Sometimes you have the double strap, which might hold your head better. But this rigidity on this steel, even with this material, is very uncomfortable, and over a long period of time you might get chafing, especially if you're doing a 48-hour operation or a 3-day operation, something like that. This is much more comfortable. This could stay away from your nose. It is bendable, could do foam padding, but what makes it comfortable is this mesh padding right here. It is breathable, so you're going to get a little bit of airflow, and it does stay very secure. The reason I went with these mesh fabric combination masks is you do get the best cheek weld on your rifle when you are fielding it. So this is probably one of the few times in Airsoft where a $15 Face Pro is gonna outperform your full face mask. The reason I go with full face mask is because when you're doing milsim operations, a lot of time you're going to be in very extreme conditions. You're hitting your 100 degrees, no problem. You're just going to sweat, and the fogging on this is going to be very hard to operate. The best eye pro I found for running face masks, these style, is is something like your ESS tactical crossbows. The anti-fog on these are very well. I used a different set for daytime operations. It's more of a sunglasses style as far as the tinting goes, but the frames are relatively the same. The strength on these are your real world tactical glasses that are on the cheap. Yeah, everyone would love to run the Oakley M frames, but then how much are you willing to spend? Running big goggles like these, it does offer you, it's got your full seal protection, and it does have your fan that you can operate to deal with the fogging, but again, it is much harder to get proper line of sight if you are fielding optics on your weapons. As you can see, the cheek weld on this di-4, it is pretty hard. You do see a little bit of improvement with the cheek weld with the Sly Profit because of the softer material used on the mask. But nothing's going to beat your mesh mask combination by one Tigris. So I highly recommend this. I've been fielding this mask for over a year now, and it hasn't failed me. Save your money and go get something a lot cheaper like this. That being said, if your primary field is indoor and you're dealing with your speed softers and you are indoor, that temperature is a lot more controlled, I'd say go with the full face mask, just because you do tend to leave a small gap under the eye, and so you could get hit. With milsim, it's not that big of a deal because you don't get the overspray that you do get with the speed softers. Outdoors, large area, I'd say go with the cheap mesh fabric combination mask. Even on fields like Warped Ops out in Lake Castaic and Striker, those fields are big enough, and even with the speed softers starting to come into those fields, this is still an option that I go with for comfortability and reliability, and it's $15. I've seen these cheaper than these, and I would not recommend these at all because these are very uncomfortable. These are the exact same price point, so just go with comfortability, because if you're going to be there all day, this is really going to be hard on the face. Thanks for checking in, and I'll see you next time.